to the iHealth channel, Fit and Fab channel, and iHealth Radio. Today, I have with me Batista Gremaud, and she is the CEO of Dr. Fitness International. And we'll talk more about what that is, right?
Hi.
Hi. It's today is it's more of a fitness concept, and we're also going to talk about some books and some content that is fitness related. And I hope that we are going to drive a lot of good positive feedback for fitness here and fitness enthusiasts. And I think it's geared towards more ladies and women fitness, right? And there's some spin there. So you'll tell us more about that.
Beautiful. Yes. So I personally love working with women, but we work also with men
Oh,
because I work with my husband as well, Dr. Fitness USA. So we actually do, both. But personally, I am very fond of working with women. Mhm.
all right. So Batista, tell us a little bit about your story. How did it all started? I mean, I know you've been doing this for a long time, and what how it all began, where we were, and where we are today, and what is the journey looking like, from the beginning to now.
From the beginning. Okay. So I actually am a former professional dancer in ballet and flamenco dancing.
Ole.
Okay, yes. And so I started dancing when I was 3 years old. I'm originally from Switzerland, so that's my French is my first language. And I danced my whole life. That was my vision. My parents were dancers, and that's all I ever wanted to do. And so that's what I did. The issue, though, is that I had a lot of injuries. In my mid 20s, I had some car accidents and then dancing over the injuries. And dancing is actually a really hard profession physically. And I ended up just, with just a lot of injuries. And I spent my life basically at night and, dancing on stage, traveling. And then on my spare time, a doctor's appointment, chiropractors, acupuncture, just the thing just to stay kind of, just to keep going. And what happened is basically it just I got to a point where I just really was against the wall. I was in my mid 40s, and the injuries weren't getting any better, and I was successful by business standard, and successful career, very fulfilling, working in all areas of dance, but my body was falling apart. And one day I love meditation and spirituality and all that aspect of keeping fit mentally and spiritually, right? And
Mhm.
one day I kind of had a moment of clarity. I was in a meditation. The topic was body mind spirit integration, and I had spent 40 years meditating and learning all these amazing tools and body mind spirit integration. And I looked at my body and I said, well, you know what, I'm missing the body part. Because my body is falling apart and I don't have a grip on it, even though I had been very healthy and fit and moving, exercising, but my body was falling apart. And so I prayed, I did the thing about the God help me find the answers. And the next day I met Dr. Fitness USA,
All right.
the very next day. So it happened by accident, even though it's no accident, right?
And there's no coincidence, right?
There's no coincidence. I think that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And that's kind of what happened. I was at a restaurant where I was waiting to talk to the owner about putting a dance show. And this bodybuilder kind of walks in for lunch. And we made eye contact, and he just walked by my table, and he says, well, who are you? And I'm like, well, I'm Batista. And I said, well, who are you? And he says, I'm an international body designer.
All right.
And I said, that's what I need. So because I was looking for something to help me with my injuries and my body. And I did envision the answers to my prayers to come in the form of, he didn't call it bodybuilding, he called it body design, but it still had to do with lifting weights. And I had never, lifting weights was not in my consciousness. Okay. I was a dancer. I didn't want to get bulky. I had a lot of injuries. To me, lifting weights and healing injuries
Did
didn't
add up.
didn't add up. But you know, when you pray for something and something comes in the door, then I know better than to shut the door closed. So I hired him, and it was about 12 years ago. And I at that time, in those days, he was teaching the program at Gold's Gym Venice. And I don't know if you know about Gold's Gym Venice, but it's kind of intimidating, right? A lot of big bodybuilders, all the champion bodybuilders, train there. And me, I was a little dancer, and so it was extremely intimidating, but I did. And what happened is, within a couple of weeks, my injuries started healing, literally. Like almost overnight, my backache was gone. My frozen shoulder took maybe a few months, but all the rest of my injuries, and I had many knees, neck, shoulder. I had a frozen shoulder, back, Achilles, everything. My body was really falling down and falling apart, and everything healed. So I married him.
I know, I met him already. That's good. So he actually cured the whole thing. I mean, that's it.
Yeah, so I got my body back, and then I got a husband and a new career, because at that point I decided that I became very fascinated with the process. I wanted to know everything. I wanted to know everything. I wanted to have all the answers. Why does his system heal injuries? Because I wasn't the first one. I met other people that had injuries, and they also got well. And so I wanted to know everything. So I started to research, and that's how I wrote a few books, based on the research that I did. And then I became a personal trainer. I wanted to know the difference between personal training and body design. And because I had worked with personal trainers in the past, and my injuries didn't heal. And then I became a apprentice body designer, studying under him, learning his ways. I would design the program for the clients, and then I would compare notes with him. And so then I graduated from an apprentice body designer to an international body designer. And with the years and the knowledge, we opened Dr. Fitness International. And 4 years ago, we were able to put the programs online. So we've grown and expanded over the years, but that was basically how I started my journey.
Well, that's a lot, and we're gonna dissect it a little bit one by one, because there's a lot of questions I have right now. But,
Okay.
But just a quick note. Now, you said you started the Dr. Fitness International, and you have been around, with it. So is that a service for people to come and basically get, the same experience you had?
Yes. Yes. So you see, when I met Stephen, he only worked one-on-one with people. It was very VIP, very boutique kind,
Mhm.
high end, one-on-one. And my vision was to expand and to be able to offer the system to more people. And so I spent many years, many hours researching his method, which was all in his head. Okay, just kind of that knowledge, intuitive knowledge. And together we were able to actually put it into a system. Okay, and that's how we put the system online. So now the Dr. Fitness International company, actually, we teach individuals to the system. Okay, and but we've also expanded with the pandemic. We also expanded into doing group, home-based programs in groups to create
Virtual.
community, virtual, all the things that the pandemic forced everybody to kind of do, repivot. And this year we are now branching out into corporate wellness. And that's why we expanded the name to Dr. Fitness International, because before it was Dr. Fitness USA. And Stephen is basically the brand. Dr. Fitness USA is known as Dr. Fitness USA, but we know that a lot of people are in trouble now with working from home, and a lot of gyms have been closed. People are still afraid of going to the gym, a lot of problems. So we thought that expanding the company and the service to corporate wellness was a logical next step. So that's basically what we do.
That's pretty good stuff. So we go back in time now. You started dancing. That was the main thing. Now you said flamenco and other types of traditional classic.
Yeah, ballet.
Ballet. Okay, so pure ballet, like the real deal.
Yes.
Ballerina. So that is a big transition, right? I mean, first of all, I do have a question, because ballet and flamenco, I mean, they're like two different things. How did you mix those things? I mean, they're pretty, one is intense and one is very smooth and.
Okay, so that's a good question. So my mother was a ballet dancer. Okay, my father was a mime. So I started ballet because that was the thing that we did. Okay, so my mother had a dance school and a dance studio and a company. And so I started ballet automatically just because that's what we did at home. But I always loved flamenco. I can, even as early as 6 years old, I remember watching TV and watching the series about the gypsies and having the ruffles and, the whole thing. So I already loved flamenco dancing. And so when I was, as ballet dancers, we are basically, it's recommended to learn other dance forms to be versatile. So flamenco is something that I picked because I loved it. And when I was 18, I picked up my bag. I'm a stubborn teenager. I moved to Spain.
Ah,
Yeah.
tell me, Andalusia, South?
Well, I started in Madrid, and then I joined the company, and then we traveled. And yes, I ended up in Andalusia and Mallorca and, all the good stuff. And then what happened though is, because I had the ballet background, I would always get hired to perform classical Spanish.
Yep.
I don't know if you're familiar with the difference between flamenco and classical Spanish, but there's two schools of Spanish dance. One is more classical and one.
Please give us more.
Yeah, so the flamenco is more the typical gypsy or campfire, but but the classical was the dances that were performed for the court, for the king and things, and they had a more balletic background. So I was always hired for those because I had the ballet background. And so it was a very nice combination for me.
Like Pasta Doble or something?
Kind of, yeah, kind of. Yeah, a little more classical than that, but yes, it's a good point of reference. But what happened is I broke my foot in my early 20s, and I couldn't go on point shoes anymore. That ended my ballet career, basically. It was like the first injury of a series of many other injuries that I had. And at that point, I really had to let go of ballet. And since I was already so immersed in the Spanish culture and the Spanish dance, that's how I ended up just making a career in flamenco and Spanish dance. That was a good question.
Oh, I try. So Batista, a question that relates to that. So as a ballerina early on, what would you tell ballerinas today, to be like, to watch out from? I mean, not to get hurt, similarly, and hopefully that doesn't end their career in that particular field. There's someone listening right now, they probably are excited. This is never going to end. I'm great, but until something happens and then it shatters their dreams, that's not a good thing. So what would you tell them?
Yes. So I would definitely tell ballerinas and any type of dancers, not only ballerinas, to pick up strength training. And you're not going to get bulky. It's not going to be that what you think. It's not, people have the idea that strength training and lifting weight, they envision the Olympians, the big muscles and the big bulk, but it doesn't happen that way. Okay. That's not we're not talking about that. Only those who want that and are taking testosterone or drugs or things, then that's the route they want to do. But strength training, for me, had I known earlier what I know now, I would have avoided a lot of pain and a lot of injuries and a lot of suffering. Okay, because there is a way where you can put the body in balance with a intelligent strength training system. Of obviously you want to kind of know what you're doing,
Sure.
right? But it is a way where you can work on posture, when you can work on muscular imbalances, when you do free sports like dancing or like martial arts even. I know
Hmm.
that you do that. Then we all have a tendency to compensate because we all have a stronger side. uh, Body parts, we're not equally all.
That's a big one. Actually, you're right. But well, it's funny because in martial arts, we always try to do everything on both sides because you can't just have this one hand is your master and your leg is, you can't be always a righty. You have to be both because you never know what happens. You got to deal with both and have equal balance. But you're right. A lot of people will have one side of their body stronger than the other, and it's typical. So
Yeah, it's typical, you can't avoid it in dancing. And in ballet you also always do both sides, but nevertheless there's always one side that works better on certain movements than the
mhm.
other. You can't avoid it. And but with strength training you can track that, you can really get that under control because you're working with weights. So if you do a movement and you do it 8 times at a certain weight, and now on the other side you get tired at 6, then you know that you can control that. So in our system we have a way to really put the body back into balance, and correcting muscular imbalances. And I think that for every um, everybody, anybody in sports, any sport, dance, whatever, if you can do that, then you can avoid injuries. And then if you get injured, you can recover much faster because the body has memories. And when the body has the memory of being in balance and being healthy, the body wants to get back to that. So, yeah. So, what I would tell dancers or anybody is just pick up strength training and get yourself strong to avoid injuries, prevent or avoid. Yeah.
So let's define that. I mean, many people will probably like, well, strength training, is that me going and pressing 200 pounds on each side? Or is it me, doing a lot of squat machines and putting like, some deadlift and whatever, or, like 50 pounds on each arm? What is strength training? I mean, is it just, because that's muscle building actually, right? I think
Yeah.
that's more. So
Mhm.
it's not really the same thing. How would you define it in a simple way?
Okay, so that's also a very good question. Thank you for asking. Because strength training, first of all, the definition in my vocabulary is what it means, training for strength, meaning
Excellent.
becoming stronger. Okay, so that's the first thing. Strength is what we lose as early as age 30 if we're not doing something about it. Okay, because that's when we start losing muscle mass. So
Yeah.
most people don't know that. They take a walk, they think they're fit. That's it. I walk my dog, or I go hiking, or I do this. They don't realize that that's not really a muscle building activity. So all of a sudden they turn 50, they're weak, their posture is shifting, they have lost so much muscle mass that it snowballs into problems,
Yep.
basically problems, all kinds of problems. Okay, so that's the first definition of strength training, building for strength. Now we have what is called body design, which goes a little bit beyond strength training because it also has to do with things like postural alignment. Okay, we build the foundation of the body through correcting posture. Okay, now in the fitness industry there is this thing about building the core, right? So that's all good. But for us, the core is really the spine, because when your spine has the proper musculature around the spine, then you can actually hold your body up, right?
Yep.
And also the spine is where the energy flows, the neurochemicals to the brain, and all that. So we work with correcting postural alignment. Okay. Now, to answer your question about the weights, it's a very good question, because we actually have a thing in our system that weight matters. Like, a lot of people go into the gym or whatever, a workout, and especially women, and they take 5 pounds and they do like 20 reps of something, and they think they're strength training. We call that occupational therapy.
That's a good one. I'm sorry. Oh my God.
Because to have results like what we talk about structural alignment of the spine and things like that, you actually have to take a good amount of weight. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. So in the system, in the Dr. Fitness USA system, we can increase a person's strength by 20 to 50% very rapidly. And what does that look like? That looks like, for example, having a regular person that's not necessarily in shape or whatever, going into a gym. I'll give that example because then I can put more numbers on it, right?
Sure.
At
Please.
home, it's a little bit different. But we could take a person like that and put, and I will give the example of a woman, right? Because a man, people think that they're stronger automatically, which is not necessarily true. But to put a woman on a leg
We're gonna
press,
talk about that.
okay, yeah, we can talk about that. We can put a woman on a leg press, and within 20 minutes, if we were in physically in the gym with that person, in a matter of 20 minutes, have her leg press 350 pounds
Wow.
without without breaking a sweat. Okay, I leg press 650 pounds. Okay, and I have no back pain, and I'm 61. So weight
I'm
matters.
just saying God bless. That's all. I'm not saying that anymore.
It's not genetics, it's the program, it's the formula. Okay, it's the ergonomics, it's the sequence of exercise, it's the amount of reps done with a certain amount of weight, and how to manipulate the that we call it the proprietary weight ratio system that gets a person to make those jumps very safely. And when that happens, then it's like immediate quiet of the mind. It's like stress reduction on steroids. It's like, wow, I feel great, kind of a thing, you know?
Well, it is. But it's funny because you said the mind, and I do know this. I mean, at least in my experience, the mind has to do with it too, because your mind has to adapt as well. And it's really like we have this joke. I mean, anybody can do a split, but the problem is you as soon as your body feels the pain, it's but if someone does it sudden, they'll probably do a split, but then later on they get pain. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and same thing for weights. You go the first day, you want to you want to press something and then get a nice little bench and weights on it, and you might feel like, oh my God. And then as your brain adjusts, you can literally just push it and you won't feel it. So do you use any, I guess, combination of like, brain type of, uh, not function, but just some sort of a mind body thing that you incorporate in your system?
It has a lot to do with the mindset. We encourage people to learn the proper technique and to show up and to worry about really learning proper form and everything, and to just show up for themselves. We try not to inundate them with too much intellectualism,
Mhm.
because we know that if they show up, they do the program, they increase their strength, their mindset is going to change because they're going to feel great. So we do things a little bit reverse than most people. A lot of people give you like positive thinking or hypnosis or things that work the mind, and we kind of work it the other way around. We just say, just train, show up, get your strength up, and then all of a sudden the person kind of wakes up and they go, oh, I feel great, and then yes, then we work on mindset and nutrition or whatever they need to get to where they want to go, right? Because people want to lose weight, everybody has different goals, but for us the first step is increase your strength and basically strengthening your nervous system, because that's what happens, because the nervous system is really responsible for the healing of the body. It's responsible for our thoughts, our emotions, our movements. And so most people are walking around with like outdated nervous system, like the electrical panel in the house. If you put in too many appliances,
You got fuses.
you're gonna blow a fuse, right?
I love that.
And this is what happens with people, right? They're walking around like, with too many appliances. So when you can increase the person's strength that way, then it's kind of like rewiring their electrical panel, basically. Then the nervous system kind of goes quiet, the mind goes quiet, and then things start falling into place. And that is basically the based on the research that I've done. I've spent 8 years researching why do people heal from their injuries with this system and not with these other things that I've tried. And honestly, I really think that this is the answer.
It's obviously working. I mean, you are seeing results.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny analogy. It's like, taking someone from analog to digital. But so you mentioned strength, and we talked about women versus men. And, to your point, there is a misconception about that. A man or a woman, I mean, strength is two different things. You can be strong, doesn't matter, what gender you are. And a lot of women, actually, to your point, may think that weight training is not really for them because they're going to get really muscular and they're going to be like really like, I mean, to your point, that's only a small group that actually goes to that extreme when they really go to compete, and they have to go through a whole life-changing experience to get to that level. But for the most part, that's not the case. Mm-hmm. So in your personal experience, how was that? Because you did transit into this world, from a ballerina to a fitness, person, to a strength person. So how did that go?
You know what? Muscle is addictive. When you get strong, it's very addictive. The stronger you are, the stronger you want to be. It just really, it's fun. I didn't get bulky. I mean, people look at me, they don't go, oh, you look like a guy, I don't, the people on our programs, they're not bulky. They're strong. We're strong. Okay. So the strength is important, but it doesn't make you bulky. It doesn't make you look like a guy or anything like that. No, I mean, I never, even one day, I was in a truth or dare thing, and you do like a little thing that people have to guess which one is right and which one is wrong. Mm-hmm. And one of my thing is that I'm a bodybuilder, and nobody even clicked to say that it was true. You know what I mean?
They didn't fit the profile there.
No, I don't fit the profile. I don't have that look. But I do leg press 650 pounds, and I bench press 135. Yes, I do. And if I flex, I got the guns. If you know what I mean. But otherwise, I'm not.
I love that. That's good. And also, I can see the confidence too, and I think that's a different level. When you get to that point, I mean, it builds a whole different level of, hey, I got this.
Absolutely. It's for self-confidence, depression, mood behavior. It's just, you just become so whole, and I think that, I don't know if you heard the saying that we only use 10% of our brain or our mind.
or less. Yeah.
Yes. I say we don't use 10% of our physical capability. Most
That's a good.
people,
That's a very good analogy. I mean, you're right. People tend to, if it hurts, that's it. I'm stopping. They
yeah,
don't push. Yeah.
yeah. So you know, so strength is wonderful, and for me, I don't have a desire to go back to dancing. Sometimes people ask me, then why did you stop dancing? Why aren't you dancing anymore? You know, I danced since I was 3 years old. I made a career transition at 50. I think that's a good career. You know,
A lot of people, that's a whole lifetime.
it's a whole lifetime. You know, I feel blessed that I was able to make a career transition and help people now with this new knowledge that I have. I'm a person that love learning, always want to learn, and I think that it is just a, I have no desire to go back to dancing. I don't miss it. I'm fulfilled in that world. But again, for anybody that wants to dance or anybody that wants to have a long lasting career or hobby in any sport or art form, I would say pick up strength training, get strong, and because it's the fountain of youth.
I like that. Everybody's looking for that one.
Yeah, and
I'm sure people are like, they all want to look younger and feel better, and to your point, that is not easy. And sometimes there's a combination of a lot of things, and your body is part of that. You have to make sure that it's strong enough to
yeah,
carry on. So you mentioned earlier personal training versus, you know, physical design or body design. So let's dive into that one, because I mean, a lot of people think, well, I'm a personal trainer. I train people. I kind of sculpt them in a way, because I want to lose 20 pounds. I help them lose 20 pounds, right? And then some people also will go to like a boot camp, program type of thing. What is that? What are the main differences there? And you said you experienced it yourself, and it didn't give you the results until you went to the new formula, which is the
yeah.
Dr. Dr. Fitness
Yeah.
USA.
As a matter of fact, I became a personal trainer because I wanted to know the difference. I wanted to know, I really wanted to know everything. And I had worked with personal trainers. It's night and days. Okay. What Stephen has created in his formulas and in his program is a specialty skill that has to do with specific sequences of exercises, but also ergonomics, very settled ways of placing the body in certain position so that the body really works in the biomechanically correct positions and movements. And also that weight ratio, that proprietary weight ratio system. Uh, he's got that to a science where if you do 7 reps or 8 reps or 12 reps in specific moments at a specific weight range, then the result is going to be completely different in how the person is performing. Okay, so this is not taught in personal training school. There's a certain weight ratio that people are doing, do 15 reps or whatever, but there's not that scientific thing that Steve will put together. That's one of the main difference. And also, I think that there's in personal training and in the fitness industry, there's a lot of fad things that happen. A lot of people are inventing things, and there is this train of thought that if you confuse the body has to adapt, and then you're going to lose weight, for example. And we don't have that philosophy one bit. If you confuse the body, guess what? Your body is going
Be
to be
confused.
confused.
All right, I think that it's pretty simple. I think it's straightforward.
Right? And then what happens when you're confused? Well, you can maybe make your way through something for a while, but is that sustainable? So no, we always want the body not to be confused, but to be safe and feeling good so that it is sustainable. See, I think that people need to look at their fitness just like they look at business. Okay.
I love that. It's great.
Where do you want to be in 5 years, in 10 years, in 15, 20, 25 years? So you have a business, you make a business plan, and you look for the long haul, right? You put savings, you invest,
Invest. Yeah.
in, right? And that's the way we like to look at things. And in the fitness, generally speaking, it's not so much like that. It's like, oh, let me just lose weight in 90 days, or let me just do a lot of things, or and like CrossFit and all these hit modalities, maybe that might work for a while, but they're also very hard on the body, with about what, 75% statistically injury, you know because the body, you can abuse it so long until the body says no more. I should know something about that, because as a dancer, pretty much that's what I did, right? So that's a lot of the differences between what's out there in personal training and what Stephen has created. He just created a system that's his system, that is, yeah, it's like a specialty thing that he came up with, that's just not taught anywhere else.
But I'm sure. I mean, you over the years, he's helped a lot of people, and now you are, and you're bringing that to a lot more people currently,
Yes.
and you are seeing successes. And I'm sure. I mean, I was looking at some of the information on your guys. I mean, on your system. It's pretty impressive stuff. I mean, people can look it up. I mean, they can see that it's a buzz. It's happening. you
It
know.
is happening, and it has happened for a long time. As a matter of fact, when I met Stephen, I started researching past clients and everything, and looking through the files, and did some case studies and things, and I put together a little video of a case study over 45 years of people that have been on the systems over the years, and you can see like some people that started in the 80s, and to see their progression through the years, and now they are in their 60s, 70s, and they look terrific. So talk about sustainability. It's
Well, I
amazing.
didn't believe when he told me his age when I spoke to him. so he did not look his age, and I'm not going to go any further there. But he looked much younger there. He looks good.
Yes.
So there's something there. Definitely the youth stuff works. the fountain of youth is working. Well, one question that is probably an interesting question, and our audience, there's a lot more, I guess, women watching probably this particular program, and in your experience as a ballerina, a woman going into a world probably at the time more, I guess, manly, is that even a truth? I mean, did you find any difficulty adjusting to the environment or being welcomed into it? Was there any challenge there?
No,
Nothing.
because I started, and within a week I was leg pressing 350 pounds, and
Oh, you
the
were competing.
I look around and I see guys that are twice my size that are lifting half what I do, and they're huffing and puffing and they're screaming, and you know what I mean? It was I was intimidated at first because I didn't know that I could even do that, right? But very, very soon I became so comfortable with the sport and so accomplished, and really doing things that, yeah, like I said, some guys, like, that are twice my size, and
They
I'm
could do
going
it.
like,
Now I'm not even going to challenge you because I don't know if I can press 600 pounds myself here. So
but you could.
I could obviously, with the right formula. But certainly, like right now, I don't think my mind is ready to, to do that. I mean, I've pushed, enough on all those machines, and whatever weight they were, I was able to do it. But to your point, I mean, you got to be in it. That's one. But the
You have
reason
to
I
have the system. You have to have the system and the ergonomics. We have a way of positioning the body where you do it, and it's very safe, and it doesn't even feel heavy. But what it does is it puts you back into alignment. So
so
goodbye backache.
so I mean, it almost sounds like using physics. and the body, balance and all the stuff to
Yes.
actually the center of the body and all the stuff to make sure. I mean, because you can literally lift a lot of stuff if you're centered properly.
Yes.
And that's really, it's a concept of physics. So I think that's probably the core source of the system that makes it, successful and accessible to pretty much everybody that can jump on it. The reason I asked the question, because a lot of women, to your earlier point, are afraid to actually really go and, because I don't want to get muscular. I don't want to get like, really like, diesel. They want to be nice and fit. But to your point, I mean, you can still have the guns, you can still look, nice and tight and fit, and it's all good. So from this platform, what would be that message for ladies? Just go for it.
Yes, go for it. No, I would say give us a call.
Oh, okay. All right. I like that. I love that.
Right, might as well, get to the source. I would say just give us a call and find out what the options are, because you can do it on your own. But I will make a point, and you're a martial artist, so you're going to relate to this. If somebody wants to learn martial arts, most likely they're going to go find a teacher. They're going to know that they can't just really quite learn on their own just by winging it.
You can learn on YouTube, I'll tell you that much. I mean, you could, but
yeah, you could learn, but would you become a master?
no,
You
it takes years.
Yeah.
It takes years.
Yeah.
And you're right. I did actually a show just about that, and yeah, it's not something you pick up overnight and you just become great at it. I mean, there are masters spend years, 30, 40 years, and I mean, I've been doing it. I'm not nowhere to be a master. I never went to pursued that level, but certainly, my masters, the ones that I've learned under, I mean, they're some of the greatest.
Exactly.
And they've done it all their lives, and it's when they make it look good.
So if you want to master a skill like a dance or martial arts or something, you are going to have so many more chances to master the skill if you have a good teacher, a mentor, right? So
everything else, yes.
yeah, but in fitness or strength training or whatever, people think that they can just do their own thing and just hopping from one machine to the next or whatever. And there's very little awareness that, hey, maybe if I had a mentor, I could actually master the skill and get results. I found that a lot of people are their own teachers and they think that it's okay and that it's all there is to it. A lot of times I tell somebody what I do and they might answer, oh, I do strength training. Oh, so what do you do? How much do you lift? Oh, 5 pounds. Okay. Yes. Or I tell them what I do and they say, oh, I do yoga. Okay, nothing wrong with yoga, but yoga and what we do is two different things. So if you meet a lawyer or a doctor and they tell you, oh, I'm a lawyer, then logically speaking, the next question, oh, what do you specialize in?
Yep.
Because you know that there is different fields of expertise. Same for the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
In fitness, oh, you do this, oh, I do yoga, or oh, I walk my dog, or I hike, or I swim, but not very much awareness of the possibilities and what is available to get to that next level physically, of the level that I'm talking about.
Wow. Well, so you were talking about strength training and bench pressing, heavyweight, things like that, without bulking up. But like right now, to your earlier point, the gyms are closed.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming you're in California, right? Venice?
Yeah. Yes, they are closed. We have one gym that's open and we actually drive 45 minutes to go to that one open gym. But yes, everything is still closed otherwise. Yes.
So it's crazy, right? And that pretty much all over. And it's cold, like at least in California, you have warmer weather. But like in my the East Coast here, we're very cold. Today was not a bad day. Yesterday was okay. But we've had some real bad weather and you can't be outside.
Mm-hmm.
And so for someone to benefit, even let's say if I called you right now for the services in the system, would I be able to actually benefit remotely? And will I have the tools to do it with? Because I don't have machines. I don't have the gym that I can actually go and lift the weight and push and do all that stuff. What would you tell people that are home that want to get some sort of a benefit from your services, for example?
Yeah, very good. So that was our challenge also when everything closed, because we always worked out from the gym and we did not have anything at home to work with. Okay, so we were in the same boat. So the first thing that we did is we bought some workout bands. Okay, with workout bands, you can still have resistance and you can still gauge the resistance. So you can still control the weight, basically,
Right.
the closest, and it's the most accessible, basically, because you can take them everywhere and they're not expensive or whatever. So that's the first thing that we did. We reproduced the systems that we had from the gym, but for home with workout bands. So that's the first thing that we did. And then the second thing that we did is we started looking into dumbbell sets and things, and we put together some programs that can be done with very simple dumbbell sets. Like some of our students now have their. So we're not we. You can't buy the big weights or whatever. It's very inconvenient, right? But you can do a lot of things. It's still following the systems that we have with lower weight. So that's what we were able to do.
So
So
it's
now,
compensated.
yeah, so balance it. So between the workout bands and then some people have some weights at home, and you'll be surprised. A lot of people have something in their basement or something that they haven't used for like ever. And so
And all of a sudden, yep.
yeah, and so that's what we did. We just look at, okay, what do you have? What are you willing to buy? And then we make a plan for them. And then with whatever they have, we were able to develop uh, programs, and we did really well. We did really well with it. Yeah.
So Batista, so the program, obviously, it's a long term. This is not something you do overnight. So it will take a commitment, and not just the willingness and the presence, but also financial commitment, right? I mean, is the system expensive? Because a lot of people sometimes I go to a $10 gym. you know, I mean, you know exactly what I'm talking. There's the boutique gyms and platforms, and there is your standard, like, large surfaces, Planet Fitness, LA Fitness, and all those. I mean, not 10, 20, $30. Um, so you mentioned Gold's Gym. That was like, the icon. That's like the Bentleys, and the Rolls Royce of the gyms back in the days, and I think still are. But yeah, so many brands that came on, later on and even more recently, and they've taken the market. So for someone that is, and we see this all the time. Oh, why would I spend $100 on this gym a month when I can go somewhere else for $10? What would you say to? I mean, there's three levels of commitment here. The time, your real willingness as a person to commit for your health, and then certainly the financial, toll that you might take over time.
Yeah.
Is that even a question? Actually, I don't even know.
Okay. Well, I'll address it because it comes up, of course. So in terms of the commitment in time, when you know what you're doing and you have a system, you actually gain more time. You save time, okay? Because you don't spin your wheel, you don't waste time. And when you are healthier, you make better decisions, you're more productive, your mind is more clear. So the time commitment, if you don't have half an hour to 45 minutes 3 times a week to spend on your body, then you need more than a workout program. You need to really a psychiatrist, because you have to, know. No, but you know what I'm saying, right? If you don't know that you need to put some time on your health, the saying, those who do not have time for physical fitness eventually will have to find time for illness. Okay.
Well, I say this. I say if you bail on your health will bail on you.
Exactly.
And today's topic is health is wealth. So
exactly. Okay. So the time, I say, that's why also I say learn from a mentor, learn from somebody that has the track record to have taking people from point A to point Z or whatever of what you want, so that you don't spin your wheel and waste your time. When you have a system that is efficient, that works, you can do it in less time, you won't be wasting time, and then you'll become more productive in every area of your life. Okay, so that's for the time commitment. In terms of the expense, there are different, let me put it this way. Sometimes people say, oh, you're expensive. Okay, if you were to hire a personal trainer on an average at $60 an hour, give or
Yeah.
take, if it was somebody right halfway decent, and you would hire them, let's say, because you need to
Few
train,
weeks. Yeah.
you need to train about 3 times a week, right?
Yep.
So that would be $240 a week. um, so let's say 250. So times four, that's what,
Thousand.
about $1,000 a month.
And then well, that's only a month, and
And
usually
that's only a
you need
month.
you need more. That's a good concept.
So basically, you'll spend over 10 grand for the year, right? And basically, the personal trainer is going to be there holding your hand. They're not really going to be interested in really teach you to be independent, because they make their living out of you needing them. So personal training, but that's acceptable. $60 an hour, oh, that's not that much money. You know what I mean? So it's all relative of how you envision money spend and the value of things. If you have a system that you're learning that's not only going to give you the results that you're looking for, that is pain management, strength increase, these things that we're talking about, and you're learning a system that you can work on your own time, and that you are acquiring knowledge that is going to sustain you for years and years to come, how much is that worth?
Well, that is an excellent question, because to your point, I mean, when there's a will, there's a way, and people know what they need to invest in. We had the same conversation, I think, yesterday or the day before, to one of the shows, and it's a matter of like people willing to spend money for certain things. I mean, ladies like I give the example of manicure and pedicure, right? I mean, that's you spend a lot of money on this. You guys go there like every day, every other day, and it costs a lot of money. It's not cheap. So some
matter of priorities. Hey, we did an interview with a guy. He's in Canada, and of course the gym is closed, but he's a member of the yacht club. And we researched it. The initiation fee, I think, to join the yacht club was something like $23,000.
Holy moly!
Okay, yeah. And he came to us. He wanted to do for us to do set him up with a home program, because he'd gained 10 pounds, blah blah blah, whatever. And we gave him peanuts, really, for a few $1,000 for a lot of one-on-one and setting him up. You know what he said?
Yeah.
I would rather buy new sails for my sailboat than put money like that on my body. But yet he can spend $23,000 initiation fee for the yacht club. So he would rather spend the money to get sails for his boat than putting it on his body. So it's all a matter of priority. It's not that it's expensive, not expensive. It's irrelevant. It's how much are you worth? How much do you think your body's worth? What do you want to look like when you're 60?
Well, it's funny because unfortunately, at the younger age, we never think about that. And when you start hitting like you hit the 40s and you start looking at the 50s, now you can see your body is not the same. The response is not the same. I mean, you can do the same thing you did 20 years before, and you just find difficulty doing it. And also your stamina, everything changes over time, unless you're built the right stuff for your body and your body is still good.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't realize that. So it's a matter of preparing for it. We're about a few minutes away from the end of the show. But one question about your books. So what are your books? Let's talk about
Okay,
the books.
so I have Feminine Body Design, Empowering Fitness for a Pain-Free Life. This dispels the myth that I had to uh, unlearn all the things that I learned that I thought I knew about fitness, and then the discoveries that I made, things like we talked about today, that's in this book. Okay, Feminine Body Design, Empowering Fitness for a Pain-Free Life. It's available on Amazon. And then this is Posture for Power. This is Stephen.
There's the man.
There's
The man that changed your life, huh? Literally.
literally. So I wrote this book. This is based on his philosophy and his life achievement. This was actually the first book that I wrote, because I wanted his achievements and his philosophy and what he had done. I wanted to document it, basically. So I researched it and I wrote that. So for the ladies, though, you want to pick up this one, because you're going to learn a lot about even things like autoimmune disorder. You know, a lot of people are suffering from fibromyalgia or a lot of things, chronic fatigue, and they don't realize that it all comes from the same cause. And you can reverse that, actually, not, you know, with by giving the body the tools that the body needs to heal. And one of them is keeping your strength up.
Wow. Well, again, the books will be, the link to the books will be also on the description of the show, your website, Batista. Thank you for being on the show, and then a lot of valuable stuff. Ultimately, it is your opinion and your brand and your format and your style. There are different versions and a lot of people, but what I do like is the concept of difference in terms of systems. There's so many, like, again, we talked about martial arts. I mean, there's so many systems in martial arts. They're all good, and just they're different, and they all have some core basics and they have their own specialties. And so there is no such thing as a good and a bad. There's just a matter of what's good for you and how you can really turn that to the best opportunity. You mentioned yoga. Some people will want to be flexible, and yoga does that tremendously. So there are systems for every person. I always say, on my background in sales, I always say there's a customer for every product. There's a product for every customer.
There's a pot for every lid. There's a lid for every pot.
There you go. That's another. I like that. So at the end of the day, I think you have a concept that is successful, and it is for the people that want to have that strength and see what it is. I mean, what I always say to the people, you don't lose anything by checking things out. Our job is to show you and highlight some of the available stuff in the community and in the world. And it is always about, your way of looking at things. And if I want things, I just have to do my due diligence and look at different concepts and pick the one that makes more sense. And that's really where we are. So with that, any last words to our audience and our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. If your mind can conceive it and your heart can believe it, then Dr. Fitness USA can help you to achieve it. So go to the website and book a consultation. Tell us that you got the information on this show, and we'll give you a complimentary consultation.
There you go. Nothing to lose, right? You can't lose anything. It's always good. Hey, you get a free consultation. You check it out. If the system is for you, it's for you. If it's not, no one's gonna bother, right? It's all good.
Exactly.
Well, I always say this: you always learn. I mean, the worst thing, the least thing you're gonna get is you learn something, and you can apply that something that you learn in any concept or consultation. So with that, I'm gonna leave. We're gonna close the show tonight. So thank you for watching the iHealth channel, the Fit and Fab channel, as well as listening on iHealth Radio. This was an awesome show with Batista Gremaud and or from Dr. Fitness
USA, International.
You both, and USA.
And USA. Both.
And USA. So we want him to be happy, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, that being said, thank you very much. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow night. And hey, stay tuned. Bye-bye.